Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. And just first off, going to say apologies for the lateness of this video. I've just had a lot on these last couple of days, and I'm finally just getting around to doing the month of March's Blu-ray and 4K haul. So yeah, gonna get just straight into this video and talk about all the Blu-rays and 4Ks that I picked up for the month of March 2024. So kicking it off with the first title, we have a movie that came out, I think, tail end of last year, beginning of this year, and it is All of Us Strangers. Yeah, this was a movie I enjoyed. Thought it was a good, solid drama. Got some great performances in it. Maybe not a movie I'm going to go back and rewatch a hell of a lot, but I thought it was really, really solid for what it was. So that's All of Us Strangers. Next up, we've got a fantastic, I want to say Spanish language at least. I think this might be South American, but yeah, we have When Evil Lurks. This was a really, really good horror film with some exceptional gore. I just thought it was great. Some really, really awesome creepy moments in this film as well. So if you love horror and you haven't seen this one, don't let this fall under your radar because it is really, really good. So yeah, that's When Evil Lurks. Next up, we've got a movie that I absolutely adore. It's not a perfect movie by any means, but it's one from my childhood. I just remember getting together with friends and watching this film. I was on a bit of an Eddie Murphy kick as well this month. You probably see some of the 4Ks that I bought as well later on. But yeah, we have The Nutty Professor. This was just a childhood staple of mine. I just absolutely love it. It's silly, it's over the top, but it's one of Eddie Murphy's funnier movies for me. I just really, really enjoy it. So that's The Nutty Professor. Next up, we've got a series of 4 movies that I think for most people, these were childhood staples. I hadn't seen any of these. Just went into these completely blind. And it is the Three Ninjas 4-film collection. Yeah, these were daft. These were silly. Very entertaining, though, to say the least. But yeah, not perfect movies, but definitely a product of the time. So that's the Three Ninjas 4-film collection. Next up, we've got a movie with Tom Hanks, a war sort of submarine movie, which I thought was pretty good. We have Greyhound. Enjoyed this for what it was, but again, it's not a movie I'm going to go back and rewatch a hell of a lot, but glad to own it. Glad to have finally seen it. So that's Greyhound. Next up, we've got some Spanish imports here, I believe. So the first one, I think this is a movie from the late 70s, The Night Strangler. Enjoyed this for what it was. Again, not amazing, didn't blow me away, but yeah, it was fine in my opinion. So yeah, that's The Night Strangler. Now next up, if there was ever a movie to prove that Madonna cannot act, it's this one. Who's That Girl? Yeah, starring Madonna and Griffin Dunne. Griffin Dunne's doing what he can here, I think, with what he's been given. Unfortunately, the main actress he's got to sort of play off is Madonna. She's terrible, absolutely terrible in this film. I thought there may be a glimmer of hope with this movie, but I still like the film, but it's not great. It's not good. But Madonna's just fucking awful. Honestly, if you want to see a bad performance from her, check this one out. Yeah, so that's Who's That Girl? And next up, we've got a horror movie, I think, that had done the rounds back in the day, starring Tero Quinn. I'd never seen this one. I've heard the second one's pretty good as well. But that is The Stepfather. Really enjoyed this one for what it was again. But yeah, probably not one I'm going to rewatch a hell of a lot. So that's The Stepfather. Next up, I got some American imports because I just wanted to see these films. I'd seen other channels talk about them and I really wanted to delve into these. So the first one we've got is Dead Man on Campus. I enjoyed this film, again, for what it was. It wasn't the silly, over-the-top comedy that I was looking for. It was a bit more grounded, but I still enjoyed it. It had some great supporting cast members in this as well. Jason Segel, Alison Hannigan and Linda Cardellini, who are always reliable for me anyway in a 90s comedy. But yeah, this was good. Enjoyed it for what it was. So that's Dead Man on Campus. Next up, we've got a movie that has very, very much eluded me up until now, and I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. It's Camp Nowhere with Christopher Lloyd. I'd never heard of this one. I went into this one completely blind, not knowing anything about it, and it had a fun premise. It was about these group of kids who the parents want to send them off to like sort of educational summer camps, and they decide that that's not for them. So we're going to create our own fake camp. And Christopher Lloyd is pretty much like an out-of-work teacher. He's kind of just doing these handyman jobs, as it was. And so they pay him to be like the leader of this camp. And so these kids can just do whatever they want while they're there. It was a little bit of a mini Back to the Future reunion as well. The actor who played Biff was in this movie playing a cop as well. He had a fun scene with Christopher Lloyd. But yeah, this was just a really good kids movie from back in the day that had eluded me, and I had fun with it. So that's Camp Nowhere. Now, this was a comedy I really enjoyed. I thought this movie had a great cast. Jason Biggs, Steve Zahn, Jack Black, Amanda Peet. You've also got a cameo in there from Neil Diamond as well. And it is Saving Silverman. So this movie, again, had a great premise. It was about Jason Biggs, who kind of meets and falls in love with Amanda Peet. She very much has him under her control. And his two best friends, played by Steve Zahn and Jack Black, kind of very much pick up on the fact that the guy is just pussy whipped and they want their friend back. They absolutely hate her, they can't stand her, and they just want their friend back. And that's pretty much the movie, but I had fun with this one. It was one of these, just these fun throwaway comedies that I just thought was a good time. So that's Saving Silverman. Next up, again, from the Warner Archive label, we've got another sort of little throwaway comedy with Jerry O'Connell, and that is Joe's Apartment. Yeah, a fun movie, a daft movie, very, very silly, tongue-in-cheek, but enjoyed it for what it was. So that's Joe's Apartment. Next up, we've got a remake to a George A. Romero film. One of the George A. Romero films I am not a fan of. Watched the remake, and I had a much, much better time with this film, and that is The Crazies. Really, really enjoyed this one. I thought it was pretty good. The George Romero one kind of made me nauseous when I was watching it. It really put me in a bad headspace. I kind of had to take painkillers after watching it because it just really, really knocked me for six. But this movie didn't do that, and I had a much, much better time with it. Still enjoyed it. Not perfect, but thought it was a good little infection movie. Yeah, was what it was. Does what it says on the tin. So that's the remake of The Crazies. Next up, we've got a couple of movies starring Halle Berry. The first one we've got is The Call. Really enjoyed this one. Sort of follows her as this 911 not receptionist, but someone who deals with those calls. And it follows this girl who was kidnapped at this shopping centre. She gets put in the trunk of this car, and she's on the phone to Halle Berry, and they're just trying to rescue her and make sure she's safe. It was a good little thriller. Really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, that's The Call. And next up, also starring Halle Berry, we have Kidnap. This was a pretty good movie. It just was absolutely relentless. I've got to give a big shout out to Nige, Rock God 2004, for putting me onto this film. It very much gets going from the off with this film. Halle Berry and her son are at this event at this park. Her son gets kidnapped, and it just starts from there. It just doesn't stop. Very, very entertaining, very, very thrilling, and very suspenseful. So yeah, that is Kidnap. Next up, we've got a movie that I think it was written by M. Night Shyamalan. I can probably safely say he didn't direct this film, but we have Devil. I thought this movie was okay. Yeah, just wasn't the best. Enjoyed it for what it was, just thought it was fine. Interesting premise, though. But yeah, that's Devil. Next up, we've got a movie. There was just so much Oscar buzz about this film. I've not seen this yet. I think the runtime has kind of put me off a little bit, but I will check it out soon when I've got the time, and it is Anatomy of a Fall. Again, picked this one up because of the high praise it's been getting, and I just really want to delve into it, but I think the runtime's just stopping me from doing that at the minute, so that's Anatomy of a Fall. Next up, we've got a movie that was sent to me by my good friend Jordan over at Movie Worm and Movie Squirm. He sent this movie to me, and it is Island of Death, Video Nasty. Yeah, so many people had said that this was a terrible film. It was just absolutely insane. Some of the stuff happening in this movie was just very questionable, to say the least. And I put the movie in, I watched it. I thought I was really going to hate this film. I thought it's going to be unwatchable. I probably am wrong for saying this, but I kind of enjoyed this film. It made me laugh hard in certain places. It was so daft, so out there. I really, really cannot say it because I think if the words came out of my mouth, I don't think I could really believe myself. It was just absolute batshit insanity. It was just so entertaining for all of the wrong reasons. And it, like I said, it made me laugh hard, belly laugh, to the point where I felt like I'd done 1,000 sit-ups. My stomach was hurting. It was just, yeah, it was hysterical for all the wrong reasons. Very, very daft, very, very over the top, and just fucking outright bizarre. So, yeah, that's Island of Death. Thanks, Jordan, for sending me that one, by the way. So speaking of Jordan as well, we actually met up at the weekend and went to our local HMV in town. So these next couple of titles are going to be what I picked up from there. So the first one we have, when we was kind of just shopping around, I picked up the first season of Wednesday. I'm glad Netflix put this out physically because I watched it once and I do want to watch it again, but I don't have Netflix. That's a fact I'm very proud of. And I'm just glad that they put this out because it was a really, really good show. I think they probably should do the same with Stranger Things, I think, when that eventually wraps up. But I really, really enjoyed this show. I had a really, really fun time with it. I'm a big Addams Family fan, particularly of the Soderbergh movies from the 90s. I have an absolute fun time with those. And this was just a fresh take on it from the mind of with Tim Burton's input as well. Really, really enjoyed this. Jenna Tager's fantastic as Wednesday, but Christina Ricci will always be my number one for playing Wednesday. But enjoyed the show. Thought it was a lot of fun. So that's the first season of Wednesday. Next up, we've got the movie that Emma Stone won her second Oscar for, and that is Poor Things. I was on the lookout for this. I was hoping and praying it come with a slipcover. Pretty much the same cover as we get with the little Amaray inside. But yeah, this was, again, a bizarre movie that I just absolutely loved. Emma Stone in this movie showed me things that I just didn't even know I needed to see. And it was a lot of fun. It's crazy, it's bizarre. If the movie's not winning you over within the first 20 minutes, do stick with it. It does get better, in my opinion. And it was just a really solid film. Mark Ruffalo was absolutely hysterical in this film as well. And I just thought he was great. Really, really a lot of fun. Willem Dafoe as well. Great supporting performance. So, yeah, that's Poor Things. And next up, we've got a movie that I picked up because I wanted to see it. I'd seen it had some lukewarm positive reviews. The trailer did not sell me at all. Myself and I think some other people thought the trailer was absolute cack. It just looked absolutely garbage and horrendous. And when I watched the movie, I was actually quite surprised and I thought it was a fun time. And it's with Will Ferrell and Jamie Foxx, and that is Strays. I enjoyed this movie. I thought the CGI talking dogs were just going to be absolutely awful. They weren't, in my opinion. It was a fun movie. It doesn't reinvent the wheel. It doesn't break new ground or crack the mold, anything like that. But it was a fun time. Really, really had a good, fun, entertaining time with this one. So, yeah, that is Strays. Now, next up, we've got a movie that I picked up on Blu-ray. I already owned this on Blu-ray, but I wanted this edition. Me and Jordan were in HMV. I picked this up. Jordan said to me, "Where did you get that from?" I said, "There's one over there left." There were two of these left in the shop. And I picked up one. Jordan picked up the other one. And it is P.T. Anderson's Boogie Nights. Anyone who knows me knows this is one of my favourite films ever. I absolutely adore it. It is a 3-hour movie that feels like 90 minutes about these characters in the 70s and 80s involved in the porn industry and how they can't really function without the porn industry. I just absolutely love and adore this film. I think I've said everything that I can say about it, but I wanted to get this cine edition from HMV just because I think it looks really nice. So yeah, that's the cine edition of Boogie Nights. And sticking with cine editions, I also picked up a Jackie Chan movie that I'm not the biggest fan of, but I thought I'll give it another go. I'll check out the Blu-ray, and it is the cine edition of Rumble in the Bronx. So yeah, thought I'd give this one another crack at some point. I think it would look great on the shelf next to Boogie Nights. There are some other cine editions that I've ordered that haven't arrived yet, so they'll be in next month's video. But yeah, just thought I'd give Rumble in the Bronx another go. So yeah. Next up, I picked up an American import because the movie only got released on DVD over here in the UK. Sydney Sweeney, Glenn Powell in Anyone But You. Went to the cinema to see this. I had a fun time with it. I thought it was a fun little romantic comedy. Again, does something a little bit different, but it just doesn't break any new ground at all. It's going to fall into that roster of random rom-coms, I think, in a couple of years' time. But yeah, enjoyed it for what it was. It was fun. It was entertaining. I had a blast with it. So yeah, that's Anyone But You. So next up, we've got a couple of horror movies that I had imported. This first one stars Bruce Campbell, and it is Black Friday. I thought the trailer for this looked pretty good. I had fun with this film. It's not perfect. Some people may even say it's not even all that great. I just thought it did what it wanted to. I was satisfied with it enough. But yeah, it's not for everyone. It doesn't reinvent the wheel, like I said about some other movies I've picked up here. But I wanted to give it a go, and I was mildly surprised by it. I thought it was fine. So that's Black Friday. This next one I enjoyed quite a little bit more, and it is You Might Be the Killer, starring Alison Hannigan. So yeah, this was very much a kind of camp slasher movie, but with a very, very different take on it. And I don't want to say much more about that. This is a movie you need to go into blind. It's not amazing. It's not a fantastic, amazing movie. You know, it's not the Shawshank Redemption by any means. But if you like those slashers, Friday the 13th, The Burning, Sleepaway Camp, give this one a go, because it's a lot of fun. I just had a fun time with it. Really, really enjoyed it. A creepy looking mask, some great effects in it. And yeah, just thought it was a good slasher. So that's You Might Be the Killer. Next up, we've got a series of movies. I think they're doing a 6th film, but this is the 5-film collection. I hadn't seen parts 3, 4, and 5. I love the first one. I thought the second one was alright. But we have the 5 Final Destination movie collection. Really, really enjoyed these. I rewatched the first 2 and then watched the final 3 that I hadn't seen. 4 for me was probably the weakest, but I still enjoyed it. 3, I had an absolute blast with. Thought it was a lot of fun. Loved that roller coaster setting. The tension build up to that was just absolutely amazing. And I'd say for part 5, yeah, the premonition in that movie I just thought was absolutely great. Just so well executed. So yeah, that's the Final Destination 5-film collection. Next up, I picked up a TV show from my childhood. These last couple of Blu-rays here were some sort of childhood staples of mine. Well, maybe not the last one, but this was a TV show I kind of grew up with, and I saw it on Blu-ray and I wanted to pick it up because there's an anniversary for this show coming up. I think it's its 30th anniversary. And it is the complete TV series of Street Sharks. Yeah, wanted to get this on Blu-ray to kind of sort of fill in some of those missing gaps from my nostalgic TV show collections of cartoons that I grew up with. I've got a fairly vast collection, and this show was missing. There's a couple of other shows that I've got coming, like Keenan and Kel and Reboot. But yeah, wanted to get this one because I just remember this being a lot of fun. So yeah, that's Street Sharks. And the last 2 Blu-rays I'm going to hold up here. One of these is an absolute childhood staple of mine. I adore it. And the second one is its sequel, which came out, I believe, last year. And yeah, It is the two movies from Nickelodeon, Good Burger 1 and 2. First one, like I said, it's not perfect, but my God, is it? I've got so much nostalgia for it. It's just a fun movie that I enjoy. Good Burger 2 was weird. It was a weird movie. Very, very nostalgic. Kind of annoying in parts, but I enjoyed the movie for what it was. It did what it did. It was daft. It was silly. The storyline's just way too complicated compared to the first one. The first one is a very, very straightforward, you get from point A to point B. Yeah, I get it. Good Burger 2 was just a bit bizarre, but I still enjoyed it. I'm probably not going to watch it as much as the first one because I just have so much nostalgic, memories for that first movie. I just enjoy it. But it's sad that I think what's come to light with Nickelodeon recently as well kind of does leave a little bit of a better taste with that first Good Burger movie as well, from one of the actors in it. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm not going to let that damage the fact that I love the film, even though it's not very good. So yeah, those are the two Good Burger movies. So yeah, those are the Blu-rays that I picked up. So we'll be getting into the 4Ks now. So moving into the 4Ks now. Didn't pick up too many 4Ks, but I think I've absolutely picked up some cracking titles in my opinion. Most of these were kind of upgrades for me. But yeah, getting into the first couple, we have the Steelbook of Contagion. This is obviously a movie that hits home for, I think, pretty much everyone now. It was amazing to think that this movie was made 8-9 years kind of before the real life global pandemic happened, and it just kind of rings true. It was very, very accurate to kind of how people dealt with the situation. It's a good movie. It's not like a movie I'm going to throw on a couple of times a year, to say the least. It just did what its job was supposed to do with a movie called Contagion. It just sort of captured that realism, and it was kind of scary how accurate it did it, in my opinion, because we actually all went through it. So yeah, it was a good movie, but yeah, not one I'm going to rewatch a hell of a lot, with a good cast as well. So that's Contagion. Next up, we've got a movie. I think this is one produced or directed by Francis Ford Coppola. Yeah. I thought this movie was okay. A little bit disappointing, though. And it is One from the Heart. Yeah, starring Terry Garr, Raul Julia. I'm a big Raul Julia fan. Absolutely love him as an actor. Sadly gone too soon. But yeah, this was an okay movie. I thought it looked stunning, though. But yeah, it was just, again, isn't one I'm going to rewatch all that often. So that's One from the Heart. Next up, we've got a foreign film that I really enjoyed. Thought this movie absolutely looked great on 4K. And it is Brotherhood of the Wolf. Really enjoyed this one. Just thought this was an absolute spectacle to look at. Really, really fun film. So that's Brotherhood of the Wolf. Next up, we've got a new release from Paramount. Well, I say new release, a new 4K transfer. And it is Richard Gere in Primal Fear. Probably my favourite Richard Gere movie. I'm not Richard Gere's biggest fan at all. I just think he's maybe harsh. I just think he's a bit of a bland actor. But this one really, really does give him stuff to work with. And it's a great supporting performance from Ed Norton as well. Kind of put him on the map. Really, really good courtroom drama with a great final twist. Really, really enjoy this film. So it's just excellent. I'm looking forward to checking it out on 4K. I'm just not a big fan of the cover. I prefer the original poster artwork. This is just kind of void of colour, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a really, really solid movie nonetheless. So glad to see it get a 4K release. Next up, we've got a movie that came out at sort of the tail end of last year. Big sort of family film to come out at Christmas. And it is Timothée Chalamet in Wonka. So yeah, this was a fun movie. I enjoyed rewatching this on 4K. I had a fun time with it. It's not a patch on the original 70s Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, in my opinion. I just adore that film. But this was okay for a prequel. I just thought there were some things that didn't connect or add up close enough to link it with that film. But yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. This Hugh Grant was great as the Oompa Loompa. And yeah, just really had a fun time with it. Nothing amazing, but yeah, solid 7 out of 10 film. So that's Wonka. Next up, we've got a movie that we've been absolutely hankering to get a Blu-ray and 4K release of this film. Sadly, it's the only way to get the Blu-ray is with the 4K, and I've got to give a big shout out to Keith over at Euphoria Pictures, who put me in the right direction to get a copy of this film for a very, very decent price. And it is James Cameron's The Abyss. Yeah, it's not a movie I absolutely love. It's probably near the bottom end if I was to rank James Cameron's films. For me, it's just, I've never had that connection with it. I've never really appreciated this film. And that's not the movie's fault. It's probably just my fault. I just think it was one of the last Cameron movies I watched, and I just love The Terminator. I love True Lies. I love Titanic. Aliens as well. But yeah, I'm glad to finally own this properly, legitimately, on 4K, and I'm looking forward to getting around to it when I do get the other Cameron movies on 4K. Like I said, there were some titles I ordered that just didn't arrive in time, True Lies being one of them. And yeah, just glad to own this. And I was glad to finally get that sticker off as well, because that was an absolute fucking eyesore. I just couldn't stand it. I hated it just to look at. I just wanted to remove it, and I'm glad I got off, because they really, really super glued that thing on there. But I got it off without damaging the slip. And yeah, just looking forward to checking this movie out. The slip on this is really nice. It's borderline gorgeous, but yeah, just a really, really... I know this is a really, really good film, but maybe I'll find that connection with it, proper connection that I want to get from it when I sit down and watch this in 4K. So that's James Cameron's The Abyss. So yeah, like I said, I'd been on a bit of an Eddie Murphy kick this month as well. So I picked up on 4K the 2-movie collection of 48 Hours and Another 48 Hours. Rewatched these. I had fun with them. I really enjoyed the first movie a lot more than the second. But yeah, still not my favourite Eddie Murphy movies. I probably prefer the Nutty Professor over these two. Not the second Nutty Professor movie though. That's not a good film, but I still find that entertaining. But yeah, I thought these two were great, but I enjoyed the first one a hell of a lot more from Walter Hill. So yeah, really, really good, fun little 2-pack, but yeah, the first movie for me was better than the second. Now, these next ones for me are just classic Eddie Murphy, particularly the first movie. So on 4K, we have the 3-movie collection of Beverly Hills Cop. I'm really looking forward to the 4th movie coming out as well. So this was just a standard 4K release. I was a bit disappointed with the price, but luckily I already had the 3 movies on Blu-ray. These just came with the 4K disc. So what I did do was a little bit of tinkering with the inside package. And I managed to get some inner sleeves. I did put all 6 discs in. So I now have the 4K and the Blu-ray of the trilogy. I know that doesn't really bother some people, but for me, I just wanted it to feel a bit more... It feels a bit more complete that those six discs are now in the set altogether. So yeah, I just have a lot of fun with these movies. Really, really enjoy them. They kind of get weaker as they go along, but for me, there isn't a bad one. And like I said, I can't wait for the 4th one. So that's the 3 Beverly Hills Cop movie collection. So next up, we've got some 88 movies, some recent ones as well. And I've got to say, these are the best slipcovers I think I've ever seen. Not so much the artwork, but just the way they're crafted, and they just feel so durable. So the first one we have is The Blood on Satan's Claw. I thought this was a fun movie. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, it is what it is. It's that type of 70s horror. Not one I'm going to go back and rewatch a hell of a lot, but yeah, it was what I expected it to be. So that's The Blood on Satan's Claw. Exact same thing can be said for this next movie. Amazing slipcover. I thought the movie was fine, and it is Witchfinder General with Vincent Price. Yeah, just thought it was fine. It's not a movie I'm going to go back and rewatch a hell of a lot. But yeah, for me, it did what it said on the tin. So that's Witchfinder General. And these next and last 4 titles I bought off eBay. I got them imported. All of them came with slipcovers, thank God. So the first one we have is the Kino Lorber 4K of the Monster Squad. I absolutely love this film. I think the only thing criminal about it is its runtime. It's a very short movie, but my God, is it fun. I have an absolute blast with this film. Really, really amazing 80s vibe to it, which I just absolutely love. Great soundtrack, great characters. It's just fun. Balls to the walls fun. Absolutely everything you'd want with it. It's got an amazing slipcover, but also you do get reversible artwork as well. So, yeah, that's always a bonus for me. And yeah, I just have a great fun time with this film. Really, really enjoy it. I'm upgrading this from DVD, so I'm going straight to 4K. And yeah, I just think it's a really, really fun movie. So that's the Monster Squad. Next up, we've got 3 Scream Factory 4Ks, and these are all upgraded from DVD for me. So the first one we have is Tales from the Dark Side. Yeah, I enjoyed the DVD of this. It didn't look amazing at all, so I'm really, really looking forward to checking out the 4K transfer on this. It's a fun anthology film. I enjoyed it. It's not one of the best. It's no creep show by any means, but it's got a fun cast, and I still enjoyed it for what it was. So that's Tales from the Dark Side. Next up, we've got one that is based on Stephen King novel as well. We have Silver Bullet. So yeah, this is a decent little werewolf movie from what I remember, but I just can't really remember much about the plot in this film. I'm looking forward to giving this another go. I know it's got Gary Busey, Corey Haim, Everett McGill are all in this film, so it's one that I just don't really remember all that much, but I'm just really looking forward to giving this, you know, a new fresh release with that 4K transfer, see what it's like. So that's Silver Bullet. And the last 4K and last title that we have for this video is David Cronenberg's The Dead Zone. Again, not a movie I enjoyed all that much on first viewing, but upgrading this to 4K, I'm looking forward to checking this out, and maybe I'll enjoy it on a whole new level, because I'm finding that with 4Ks, I'm finding I'm being able to pick out the details a lot better than DVD. I know that's a bit of a silly statement, like, because you absolutely expect to do that, but doing that is enhancing my enjoyment of films. It really is. So yeah, looking forward to checking this one out when I get around to it. So that's the 4K of The Dead Zone. So yeah, that brings this video to a close, guys. Those are all of the Blu-ray and 4K movies that I got for the month of March 2024. So going to leave the video there, guys, and say thanks very much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.